Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devidasi from Orlando, Florida.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhamma Pranam, all Guru Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for joining the call, Mataji. Anybody else who would like to announce? Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome again to the Srimad Bhagavatam call. Today we are very fortunate. We have His Grace Sarvadrik Prabhuji from Mayapur, India. And Prabhuji is going to enlighten us from Canto 7, Chapter 6, and verse number 9 onwards. So this is a chapter about Prahlad Maharaj instructs to his demonic schoolmates. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you may take over the call when you're ready.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. Obeisances all devotees. Hope everybody is well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Deving Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudирayat Nashta Prayesha Badeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Krishne Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Jnana Divisaha Kalo Nashta Dashamesha Paranako Dhanodita Mantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. We're very fortunate to be reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6, Text 9. Ko griheshu paman shaktam atmanam ajitendriya sneha pasha jidhar baddham utsaheta vimochitam. Ka, what griheshu, to household life, puman, a man, shaktam, very much attached, atmanam, his own self, the soul, ajitendriya, ajita indriya, who has not conquered the senses, sneha pashai, by the ropes of affection, dridhai, very strong, badham, bound hand and foot, utsaheta, is able, vimochitum, to liberate from material bondage. Translation. What person, too attached to household life, due to being unable to control his senses, can liberate himself? An attached householder is bound very strongly by ropes of affection for his family, wife, children, and other relatives. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prahlad Maharaj's first proposal was Komara Acharit Pragyo Dharman Bhagavataniha. One who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life, in other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. Dharman Bhagavatan means the religious principle of reviving our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For this purpose, Krishna personally advises Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Give up all other duties and surrender unto me. Well, in the material world, we manufacture so many duties in the name of so many isms, but our actual duty is to free ourselves from the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. For this purpose, one must first be liberated from material bondage, and especially from household life. Household life is actually a kind of license for a materially attached person by which to enjoy sense gratification under regulative principles. Otherwise, there is no need of entering household life. Before entering household life, one should be trained as a brahmachari, living under the care of the guru, whose place is known as the Gurukula. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasantanto Gurur Hitam. From the very beginning, a brahmachari is trained to sacrifice everything for the benefit of the guru. A brahmachari is advised to go begging alms door to door, addressing all women as mother, and whatever he collects goes to the benefit of the guru. In this way, he learns how to control his senses and sacrifice everything for the guru. When he is fully trained, if he likes, he is allowed to marry. Thus, he is not an ordinary grihastha who has learned only how to gratify his senses. A trained grihastha can gradually give up household life and go to the forest to become increasingly enlightened in spiritual life and at last take sannyas. Prahlad Maharaj explained to his father that to be freed from all material anxieties, one should go to the forest. Hitvatma patam griham andakupam. One should give up his household life, which is a place for going further and further down into the darkest regions of material existence. The first advice, therefore, is that one must give up household life, griham andakupam. However, if one prefers to remain in the dark well of household life because of uncontrolled senses, he becomes increasingly entangled by the ropes of affection for his wife, children, servants, house, money, and so on. Such a person cannot attain liberation from material bondage. Therefore, children should be taught from the very beginning of life to be first-class brahmacharis. Then it will be possible for them to give up household life in the future. To return home back to Godhead, one must be completely free from material attachment. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga means Vairagya Vidya, the art that can help one develop a distaste for material enjoyment. Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitukam. Quote, by rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. If one engages in devotional service from the beginning of life, he easily attains Vairagya Vidya, or detachment, asakti, and knowledge, and becomes Jitendriya, the controller of his senses. One who perfectly engages in devotional service is therefore called Goswami or Swami, master of the senses. Unless one is a master of the senses, he should not accept the renounced order of life, sannyas. A strong inclination for sense enjoyment is the cause of the material body. Without full knowledge, one cannot be unattached to material enjoyment. But as long as one is not in that position, one is not fit to return home back to Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shishtamanomapi Sachiputramatra Sarupam Rupam Tashyagujamurapuri Matarim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhikamadhavasam Prapto Yasya Patita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Matosmi Ram Gopika Visharavesh Taniyantikesi Sevadikarini Guru Nichapada Padme Dasyam Pradaya Kurumam Pajakanane Shri Radhangri Sevanarase Sukhin Sukabdo Radha Sammukha Sangsakting Saki Sangani Vasanim Tamaham Satatam Vande Madhavashraya Vigraham Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gododaya Pushpavanto Chitto Sando Tamonido Vande Nantadvatashrayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityanandam Maham Nomi Sarvananda Karam Param Harinama Padam Devam Avaduta Shiromanim Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Pancha Kopatubhishta Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. What a great verse this would be for a brahmachari class. All the negative aspects of Grihastha Ashram. Because there are many negative aspects to Grihastha Ashram. But let us look at this scientifically. Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So this is thesis, that Grihastha Ashram is an obstacle to spiritual life. Griham andakupam is said clearly here. What is Grihastha life? Andakupam, a dark well, a blind well. It means if you're walking across a field and all of a sudden you fall through the grass because there's a well underneath, and in that well, that deep, dark well, you drown. So in this verse, Grihastha life is compared to Andakupam, a dark well. But Grihastha life is what you make it. I'll say that again. Grihastha life is what you make it. It can be a deep, dark well if you leave the principles of Krishna consciousness lifestyle. Krishna conscious Grihastha ashram can be heaven also. It can be heaven or it can be hell, according to the way you approach it. If one approaches one's wife or one's husband as the object of sensual gratification, then it becomes deep, dark well. And you spend your time making money and accumulating things, buying gold and jewelry and watches and expensive cars and expensive homes and prestige and influence and position, social respect. Then it becomes a deep, dark well. And at the end of life, what do you have left? Nothing. What can you take with you at the end of life? Nothing. If someone lives their life in that way, then what is the meaning to their life? It's a cause of suffering. Nayam deho deha bhajam viloke kashan kaman arhati didbujam ye tapo dibyam putraka sattam shudyat brahma sokyam tvanantam. That standard of life, sense gratification, is available to the animals that eat stool. The dogs, the cats, the pigs, the horses, they eat their own stool or the stool of other beings. And they engage in sex. They have their family life. I was watching our apartment is on the second floor of the building. So I was looking down, and over by Namhata kitchen, there's a group of dogs. There's one dog in heat. And 5 male dogs had surrounded her. And one male dog was protecting her. He's growling and fighting off the other dogs. Said, "This is this is my woman." This goes on in the animal life. All the other dogs want to mate with her, but the one dog is thinking, "No, she's mine," and he was very faithfully guarding her from the approach of these other dogs. So dog husband and dog wife, bird husband and bird wife. Srila Prabhupada was walking with some devotees in the park, and they're walking underneath a tree, and on the pavement where they're walking was a pile of bird stool. So Prabhupada stopped, pointed to it with his cane, and asked the devotees, "What does this mean?" And the devotees were like, "Well, Prabhupada, it's bird stool." Prabhupada said, "No, what does it mean?" Devotees were confused. And Prabhupada pointed out that even the birds have this inclination to make a home, a nest, because the birds had made a nest above in the branches in the tree. They're living there, passing stool, and made a pile of bird stool on the pavement. So Prabhupada's point was, even the animals do this, the birds do this, the horses, the pigs, the dogs, the demigods. Everyone's doing the same thing. Pumsa striya mitani bhavami tattoro hridaya grantamahu. Atagriha shetu sutat pavita janasya mohoyam aham mameti. That attraction between man and woman makes the world go round. It's not love. People say love makes the world go round. But in actuality, it is lust that makes the world go round. Man wants a woman, woman wants a man. And from that, griha shetu satapta vitar, that I have to have land, I have to have home, I have to have family, I have to have money, I have to have friends, expand myself through the agency of a woman, and have friends to show off my art and see my home, see my success, see my position in society, see how successful I am. What is the meaning to all that? What is the meaning? It is meaningless without Krishna. We don't discriminate against a successful devotee, a wealthy devotee, because whatever is meant to come to us will come to us by destiny. Bhagavatam explains, Tasyaiva heto pariyate kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada talabhyate dukkha vadanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabira ranghasa. Then one should endeavor for that topmost objective in life of going back home, back to Godhead, for that thing that will actually satisfy us, that isn't available anywhere in the material world, from Brahma Loka down to Pata Loka. And then it says, as far as material happiness is concerned, that comes automatically, just as in due course of time we get distress. Nobody goes to the masjid, the mandir, the gurudwara, the church, the synagogue, and prays to God, give me trouble. Let my house burn down. Let me be diagnosed with some horrible disease. Let my family members die. Let me wreck my car. Let me lose my job. No one prays for that. But in everyone's life, to some degree or another, sometime or other, some disaster comes to us, because this is the nature of the material world. No one prays for it, but it comes. So Bhagavatam is saying, in exactly the same way, our happiness, our prosperity, our position in the world, everything comes to us by our karma. Why are we struggling so hard? Why are we stressed? If we understood this perfectly, life would be so easy. If we understood, as Prabhupada said, that you can't get more in life than you're destined, and you can't get less, life would be so easy if we had faith in that. Relax, you do your duty as you're obliged by your karma with a mood of detachment, and cultivate your attachment to Krishna. So if one does that in Grihastha life becomes heaven. To live with a person for whom your well-being is high on their list of priorities, and your wife is high on your list of priorities. Who is your best well-wisher in your life? Your wife or your husband? They want the very best for you. Who is your association? And if your husband or wife is a good devotee, you're always in association with good devotees. You're protected from the onslaught of material nature by the association of devotees. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said something. This is an excerpt from an article from the Harmonist magazine, and it is entitled Relations Between the Sexes. A couple of paragraphs, let me read it. The cardinal principle of Grihastha Ashram is that no one may be the owner of any property or service of another. In other words, we say my wife or my husband, but it's indicative of a cooperative service relationship. Wife isn't property of the husband. Husband isn't property of the wife. They belong to Krishna. And the household paraphernalia is not my house, my car, my everything. I mean mine. Everything is the property of Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Manasa deho geho yokichumo arpilan tuapade nande kishore. That my body, my mind, my home, whatever little bit I call my own, I offer to you, Nande Kishore, because, oh Nande Kishore, oh Supreme Lord, everything is yours. And I acknowledge it. This is one of the basic tenets of happiness in Grihastha Ashram. So no one is the owner of any property. Everyone is only a servant whose activities are ever in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the sole object of everyone's service as the only master, only friend, only son, and only consort is Krishna. Marrying and giving in marriage do not give rise to any rights of a master, either to the husband or to the wife. Men and women are joined in wedlock for the purpose of serving each other in the performance of the joint service of Krishna. Wife is not an object of enjoyment of the husband, nor vice versa. They do not marry for gratifying their sexual appetites. They marry for pleasing the Lord, not for pleasing themselves. And this is the basic principle. Why should we get married? We should get married to please the Lord, to execute Dharma. You see, although Prabhupada has written a very apparently negative purport, he also encouraged his disciples to get married. Most of his disciples, almost to the man, got married. And he encouraged it, and he was happy to see happy Grihastha couples. So this is antithesis. We're still with synthesis. We're still with thesis, talking about the negative side. So they marry for pleasing, they choose for this is important, they choose for their partners only such persons who serve God better than themselves. That's an important thing. You should look at your husband or wife as they're doing such nice service. I should do such nice service as them and appreciate the devotional service of one's mate. And this leads to harmony and respect and cooperation in married life. They marry for pleasing they offer themselves to be accepted by their partners for the favor of being allowed to share in their superior service to Hari. Neither the husband nor the wife should claim the services his or her partner on their own account. Both of them are only to offer their services if and when their partner is pleased to permit them to share their service of Hari. None of them can force their partners to serve them. This system of household discipline has its roots in the joint worship of the household deity by all members of the household. The reason why the Guru does not ordinarily ask any person to enter the state of wedlock is that it is very rare to find anyone in this world who is willing to regard his or her wife or husband as worthy of his or her unconditional services. This is, however, exactly the only relationship between husband and wife that alone can be sanctioned by the Guru. Very interesting letter or statement by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he's giving the antidote for all the negative things we read about Grihastha life. That Grihastha life means you're obliged to take another birth. It's a deep, dark well. One is prone to sense gratification. It can be like that. But the other side is it can be heaven also. Lord Chaitanya told Raghunath Das, this is also a very nice quote. He said, be patient and return home. Because remember, from Leela, Raghunath Das kept running away from home to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they'd catch him and drag him back. Run away, drag him back. Run away, drag him back. So Mahaprabhu finally told him this. He said, be patient and return home. Don't be a crazy fellow. By and by, you will be able to cross the ocean of material existence. You should not make yourself a show bottle devotee and become a false renunciate. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it. Within your heart, you should keep yourself very faithful, but externally, you may behave like an ordinary man. Thus, Krishna will very soon be pleased and deliver you from the clutches of Maya. This is a very important thing. We should live in this world not like an apparent ordinary man, but internally, our heart is with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gave a nice example how this works. He said, just like a woman who has paramour, she's thinking of her lover, and because of that, she doesn't want to be discovered. So she's she's executing her household duties in a very exemplary way, with full enthusiasm. Cleaning, cooking, children, all her responsibilities, she's taking extra care. But internally, who is she thinking of? She's thinking of her lover. In the same way, we should execute our devotional duties in this world as we're obliged to accept by our karma. But internally, we should be only with Krishna. And this is the secret of success. Because this is the essence of Krishna Bhakti. It's the essence of Raga Bhakti. Because Raga Bhakti means smaranam, always thinking of Krishna with enthusiasm. How can I please my Lord? What is my Lord doing this time of day? What is my Lord wearing today? What does he look like? What friends is he with? What is he doing? Always internally absorbed in Krishna, but externally going about one's duty. And Krishna recommends this in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asked him, because Arjuna asked Krishna, said, what is the process of attaining you? In other words, how do I go back to Godhead? And Krishna, in a series of verses in Bhagavad Gita, gave very solid advice. First thing he said, Antakali chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati sabadbhavam yati nashatta shanshaya yam yam bhapi smaram bhavam tyajantanti kalevaram yam yam tam tamavaiti kontaya sadha tadbhava bhavitaha. That whenever you think of at the time of death, that prepares your next life. If you deserve it and you have a desire for wealth, then you'll find wealth in your next life. If you want to be a king, if you want to be a manager, if you want to be whatever you're thinking of, you'll get in your next life. But deserve and desire. Smaran, what are you thinking of? What did you want? What unfulfilled desire did you have in your life at the time of death? Leads us to our next lifetime. At what Antakali Smaran Muktva. If we think of Krishna, he says, Smaran Muktva. Yak Prayati Samad Bhava. Mad Bhava means we get a body like Krishna. If we absorb our life in service of Krishna in this lifetime, thinking of Krishna, chanting Krishna, visiting Krishna's temple, talking about Krishna, offering delicious food to Krishna, preparing delicious food for Krishna, dressing Krishna, worshipping Krishna, bowing down to Krishna, manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yajimam namaskuru. Doing all of that, then at the time of death, all of those thoughts are present in our consciousness, and yad gatvanani vartande tadama paramamama. We go back to Krishna. We leave this world and never come back. Such a simple formula. So then Krishna ties everything together, these two verses. He says, tasmat. Tasmat means therefore. When we make an argument, when we have presented a strong argument, we say therefore. Tasmat means therefore. Krishna said, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayarpita manobuddhir mamayvashasi asangshaya. It's very important understanding, especially for grihastas. Go about your life, but be internally absorbed in Krishna. Mamanusmara yudhyacha. This is important principle. Mamanusmara means you remember me, you think of me, have your mind fixed on me, and yudhyacha. He's speaking to Arjuna, so he's telling Arjuna, do your duty of fighting. Yudhyacha, go out and fight, but with your mind and intelligence fixed on me. Mayarpita manobud here. Fix your mind and intelligence on me. Mayarpita manobud here. Mami vaishasi says, you will achieve me. You will get me. You will come back to me. Asangshaya, without doubt. Krishna is giving his guarantee. Such a beautiful, simple process of self-realization. Live your life, whatever your life is destined to be, whatever life we've gotten by our previous karma. Live your life. Do your duty. Because what is the whole principle of duty? What are we trying to accomplish by duty? Krishna says in Bhagvatam says, Atak pumbir dvija shrishta varnashrama vibhagasa svanushthitasya dharmasya sansatir haditoshanam. The whole principle of our life is to please Krishna, to make Krishna happy, to do our duty in such a way that he's satisfied with us, that we qualify ourselves to return home back to Godhead. Sansati, complete perfection is what? Haditoshanam, to please the Lord. According to what? Svanushthitasya dharma. Svanushthitasya dharma means one's own occupational duty. And there are many according to Varnashram dharma. There's 4 Varnas and 4 ashrams. So according to one's dharma, which is eternally linked to our past life karma, we get particular dharmic activities in this lifetime, and they're different. Grihastha dharma is different than sannyas dharma, different than brahmachari dharma or vanapras dharma. They're different, but the objective is the same. We shouldn't misunderstand. Grihastha life, where there's some license for sense gratification, but that license is ultimately liberating from the material world. You experience it and you move on. For Grihastha, for a sannyasi, being in a room with a woman alone is forbidden. There is a story about this. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was with Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's beloved godbrother, Odbihari Kapoor, Adikesha Prabhu. So Adikesha Prabhu's wife was there. She was a young girl, by age calculation, as good as the granddaughter of Saraswati Thakur. So she asked Bhaktisiddhanta, said, I want to speak to you. And he said, yes, speak anything you like. She said, no, I want to speak to you privately. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, liberated soul, Nitya Siddha devotee, descended from Goloka, said to her, I am a sannyasi, and I cannot speak to a young girl privately. And this is the standard he showed for everybody, although completely aloof from any hint, any scent of sense gratification or inclination to enjoy this young girl, to show the standards that I cannot speak to a young girl in a private place. And this is the standard for sannyas ashram. So a sannyasi can't even stay in the room with a woman, but grihastha lives in the same house. He may sleep in the same bed with his wife. And by that, he makes progress in spiritual life because Krishna is the center. And the objective is the same. But one has to control one's senses. Here in this verse, the qualifying verb is ajitendriya, adjective, qualifying, ajitendriya, someone whose indriyas are uncontrolled. Jita means to conquer. Jitendriya means to conquer the senses, to control the senses. So this is a requirement in every ashram. And this is one of the challenges in Grihastha ashram, is to control the senses. Because all of a sudden you've been a brahmachari for some number of years. And Vedic paradigm, as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, when it's a brahmachari for 25 years, then if he likes, on his own volition, by his own choice, by his own desire, he may marry, he may choose to marry, nothing wrong. Any brahmachari that decides to marry should never be criticized. It's a natural thing. Most people marry. 7 out of 12 mahajans are grihasthas. So no one should be criticized if they enter grihastha ashram. But it requires this principle of jitendriya. And Prabhupada points out in the purport that if one has led very strong brahmachari life with excellent brahmachari training, serving the Guru, Guru Danta, Gurur Hitam. Gurur Hitam means living just for the benefit of the Guru. Like Krishna and Sudama. Krishna and Sudama went out searching for firewood and got stuck in a storm. And had to spend the night together in a tree, huddling together, trying to stay warm, until their Guru sent people out to find them. So even Krishna accepted Guru, Mahaprabhu accepted Guru, Rama accepted Guru. Everyone has a Guru, and Guru means Gurur Hitam, that you serve the Guru for his desire, in his interest. So if one has good training, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, then when he enters Grihastha ashram, he can be jitendriya, not ajitendriya, not uncontrolled and sensual activity. But the problem is, as we all are aware, maybe painfully aware, that who has spent 25 years living in the ashram of the Guru? Most of us come to Krishna consciousness at least after several years of sense gratification, of unrestricted lifestyle, eating anything, doing anything, in married life or outside of married life, simply trying to enjoy, because frankly, that's why we came to this material world. We came to this material world to enjoy. And one of the requirements to get out is to control ourselves, to know that sense gratification can never make us happy in millions of lifetimes. Krishna's verdict on the principle is in, I think, 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yehi sansparsaja bhoga dukkha yoneya evate ajantavanta konteya nate shu ramate buddha. Sansparsh bhoga, enjoying senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, are trying to experience the material world, enjoy senses, is the cause. Sansparsh bhoga is the cause of dukkha, of unhappiness. Where does it come from? Yoneya, dukkha yoneya evate. That unhappiness comes from living in this world simply for the desire, living only on the principle of how can I enjoy my senses. Ajantavanta konteya, Krishna says, oh dear, my dear konteya, that this type of happiness has its beginning and its end. Nateshu ramate buddha. Therefore, an intelligent person does not take part in this type of happiness. And think of it, any material sensual activity has its beginning and its end. Say, for example, you love pizza and you want to eat pizza. You start thinking, Jayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangasteshu Vajayate. You start thinking, I really like to eat pizza. And you go to Govinda's or somebody makes pizza for you. And when you eat that first piece of pizza, you think, I have gone to Swarga. My tongue is in heaven. I'm doing pizza abhishek for my tongue. I'll have another piece. and you eat another piece. It's still delicious, but not quite as delicious as the first piece. And you have another, maybe 3, 4 pieces of pizza you eat, and then no more. I can't eat anymore. What is left of the delicious experience, the sensual experience of eating pizza? Maybe some taste lingers in your tongue, and that's all that's left. Ajantavanta. It had its beginning and it has its end. Therefore, sense gratification creates increasing demand for newer and newer objects of senses that can never satisfy us, because we're looking for unlimited happiness, unlimited spiritual happiness that touches the soul. The sense gratificatory process of bringing the senses in contact with different regions in our brain by synapse can never make us happy. It's impossible. Ajantavanto kote nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person, ramate buddha, he doesn't enjoy life in this way. He enjoys nunam pramata kurute bikarma yadindriya pritaya apranuti nasadu manya yata atmanoya masandapi klesha da ashadeya. This type of enjoyment simply gives us another material body. And it's maddening, drives us to seek newer and newer sources of gratification. So Grihastha Ashram is a place where we confront our material desires. Now, many devotees experience difficulty in this regard, especially newlywed devotees. I spend time counseling several newlywed couples, as is my duty, as any senior devotee should do, help them navigate the intricacies of Grihastha Ashram, the challenges and pitfalls of Grihastha Ashram. So if a young man has not had extensive brahmachari training, or the young lady, the same thing, and they've been practicing celibacy for a long time, they just got married, it's their wedding night, it's their new relationship, what's going to happen? They're going to enjoy their senses. Should they be condemned for doing that? Should they condemn themselves? No. Is it an obstacle for our progress in spiritual life? Yes. The whole principle of Grihastham Ashram is you want this, okay, you enjoyed it. Now, did it make you happy? Did it fulfill your heart's desire? You can't fulfill your sensual desire because the senses demand newer and newer gratification one after another. It can't fulfill your heart's desire either. Only Krishna can fulfill our heart's desire, because there's a Krishna-shaped hole in our heart. And you can't fill that hole with drugs or alcohol or relationships or money or social position. Nothing can fill that emptiness in our heart except Krishna. And until the day we realize that comes, we'll always be frustrated. We'll all be looking for some other thing to make us happy. So there's a nice verse in Srimad Bhagvatam that's applicable in this sense. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not encouraging young devotees to enjoy sex life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's natural to have fall down, especially in the beginning days of one's relationship, husband and wife. But it's within the boat of Dharma, because the sex with a child is sex, rape is sex, sex outside of marriage is sex, homosex is sex, sex with a prostitute is sex. Physiologically, it is exactly the same thing. But all these other types of sexual indulgence are completely sinful and rejected. Sex within the Dharma, within the constraints of wedded relationship, committed wedded relationship, is an obstacle to our progress in spiritual life, but it is not the same thing. And we should never think it is. And devotees that are unable to control their senses perfectly should not become depressed and give up the process of Krishna Bhakti, because this happens sometimes. Devotees become so depressed because of being unable to completely practice celibacy, may give up the process of bhakti, thinking, I'm useless, I can't do this, what's the point, I give up. And they stop chanting, they stop association with devotees out of guilt, and they go away. We lose devotees because of this thing. Okay, you're addicted to sexual gratification. Okay, experience it and move on, and move on. In the Srimad Bhagvatam, 11th canto, Uddhava Gita, the Lord told Uddhava, if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires, but because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification. 11th canto, 14th chapter, 18th verse. Also in the 20th chapter, Jata Shoto Matkatasu Nirbana Sarvakaramasu Veda Dukatmakam Kaman Parityagya Yanishwara Tatoba Jeta Mam Prita Shuddhayo Drida Nishchaya Yushamanas Chitan Kaman Dukudarkams Chagarhayan. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, Krishna speaking to Uddhava, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Vijeta Mam Prita means that one should go and be, Krishna saying, be happy in worshiping me. Because bhakti, well, the process of bhakti and the taste we get from bhakti will help us overcome our addiction to the sensual experience, all the different varieties of sensual experience that we came to this material world to enjoy. This is a very important principle. It's not black and white. And progress in spiritual life is not like a light switch. Our progress in spiritual life in sadhana is like sunrise, not a light switch. Light switch means it's dark, you flip the switch, okay, now it's light. It's not like that. I'm in Maya, I'm attached to sense gratification. Now, from tomorrow, I'm free from lust, greed, anger, envy, fear. I'm pure devotee. It's not like that. It's like sunrise. When the sun is absent from the horizon, everything is dark. You can't see anything. You can hardly see your hand in front of your face. But as it begins to rise, gradually you'll see form. Gradually you'll see texture. Gradually you'll see form, texture, color. And ultimately you'll see everything when the sun rises in the sky, even before the sun is visible. So even before Krishna is visible, is manifest in our life, by the process of sadhana bhakti, our material desires are diminished. Examine your own life. What was your life before meeting devotees and taking up the process of bhakti? And see how much you progressed. So extrapolate. If we've come that far in Krishna bhakti, in the 2 years, the 10 years, the 15 years, whatever it is, extrapolate. What is the possibility? What is the potential for advancement in the next 15 years or in the next 20 years, whatever it is? Bhakti is very powerful. Shastra says it's like running through the forest in the dark of night, blindfolded. You can't see anything, but you're running and you'll never trip. You'll never you'll never run into a tree. You'll never fall, because Krishna is taking us back to Godhead. He's witnessing our activities and he's waiting for us. He's waiting. He's asking. Mahaprabhu was requesting, Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Gota nidra jao maya pisha chera kole. How long you want to sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? How long? Krishna is waiting for us in Goloka. He's bringing us back, but we should cultivate this desire that I want to go back to Godhead. That desire should be foremost in our consciousness. I may not be a great devotee, but I am disgusted with material life. I am finished with material life as far as I'm able, and I only want to go back to Godhead in this lifetime and be situated in my eternal serving relationship, loving serving relationship with the Lord. Each devotee should have that conviction. And Grihastha ashram is a means to come to that stage. There's no other reason. It's not just wholesale sense gratification. It is an ashram. Ashraya means shelter. Where do we find shelter? Where do we find spiritual progress? In ashram. So, according to our mentality, as I'm trying to remember the verse we're speaking. Atakpambir dveja shri varnasham vivag. Sonushte tasya dharmasya. Sonushte tasya dharma. according to your position in life, that we've gotten a material body by our karma. Some people are very detached from sense gratification. These are sannyasis, brahmacharis that have no inclination. They're not artificially trying to repress their desires, biting the bullet, like we say, cold showers, tighten your kopin. I really want a woman, but no, I want one, but no, I want one, but no. A real brahmachari has no interest. He's not antagonistic towards women. He doesn't mistreat women. He's not lusty towards women. And he's not antagonistic or disrespectful toward women. He's full of respect for women, Mataji. But he's not disturbed by women. This is a brahmachari. If a man is disturbed in a woman's association, then he should be married. Be honest, be happy with one woman, be faithful, and make progress in your spiritual life. Sanushtitasya dharma. And what is the objective? Sansadir haritoshanam. If Krishna is pleased, we're qualified to go back to Godhead. So this is antithesis. Thesis was this verse that we're reading, that Grihastha ashram is dangerous. It's a deep, dark well. Women are the gateway to hellish life. Don't, avoid women. Don't look at them, blah, 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 on and on and on. Okay, those things that we don't deny that that Grihastha ashram can be a deep, dark well. It can be if you make it that way. Or it can be heaven if you make it that way. And this is antithesis. That to be happy in Grihastha ashram with the objective of going back home, back to Godhead. Husband assisting wife in their spiritual duty. Wife assisting husband. Happy, peaceful, congenial, cooperative life of Krishna bhakti, where Krishna is the enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer of husband's activities. Krishna is the enjoyer of wife's activities. They're different. Like two birds. Birds fly with two wings, not with one wing. They're opposite, they're different, but when they cooperate, the bird moves forward. It can fly anywhere. So cooperation between husband and wife in Krishna consciousness, making Krishna the enjoyer, is the path of spiritual emancipation and is the path of spiritual happiness. It's the path of liberation. This is antithesis. So how to synthesize? Both things are true. Grihastha life can be heaven, or Grihastha life can be hell. Synthesis means to take up the process that's given to us by our acharyas, to give up this gradually and proportionately to our progress in spiritual life, to give up our attachment to this material world, to understand what it is, that I'm not this body, I'm not a male body, but I'm stuck with one. And I'm stuck with male ego. I'm stuck with sex desire. My mind is attracted towards woman. Woman's mind is attracted towards what to do about it. Take up Krishna bhakti. This is this synthesis, the solution to the problem. Don't enter Grihastha ashram with the intent, now I have full facility to enjoy. I am the master of this woman. She is my slave. She is my object of my sexual gratification. Then your life will become hell. And it will lead to divorce, unhappiness. Many unhappy things come from this mentality. Because a man has to give up his Purusha mentality. Woman also has to give up Purusha mentality. But especially man has to give up male ego. There's a story. A newlywed couple approached Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is Sakshat Vairagya Murti, the personification of renunciation. In our Sampradaya, no one was a greater renunciate than Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So imagine the scene. Newlywed couple, all, dil til pagal, hey, we're in love, we're married, we're happy, she's handsome, I'm beautiful, let us enjoy. They went to him for Babaji Maharaj's blessing. He said to the man, yes, I will bless you, but you do one thing. You go to Sabji Mandi, you go to the market, and you buy different varieties of foodstuff. You bring them home, and you prepare everything, make nice sabjis and puri, rice, dal, pakora, chutney, sweet, and you offer to Bhagwan. After Bhagwan is through eating, then you offer that prasadam to your wife. You're not eating. You offer to your wife. Let her eat. And when she is fully satisfied, then you eat what is left over. Eat her uchishta, her leftovers. If you can do that, then I will bless you. What is he saying? Saying, if you can give up male ego, that you're the enjoyer of this woman, then I will bless you. Because this is the disease. It is the disease of a man, I am the enjoyer of this woman. And it is the disease of a woman, I am the enjoyer of this woman. I am the enjoyer of this man. Krishna is the enjoyer. He's the only enjoyer. Bhoktaram jagatabasam sarvaloka maheswaram. Suradam sarvabhutanam. Gyatva mam shantim richatsi. If we know that Gyatva mam, if we know that about Krishna, what is the result? Shanti, shanti, shanti. Otherwise, there's no happiness in any ashram. In any ashram. So this verse apparently is very negative, but there is a positive side to it also. Let us read it again. Translation. What person, too attached to household life due to being unable to control his senses, can liberate himself? An attached householder is bound very strongly by ropes of affection for his family, wife, children, and other relatives. Anyone has any question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanva Pranam, All Glory Shri Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj.
Jai
Thank you
Srila
for a
Prabhupada.
very wonderful class, Prabhuji. It's a awakening for everyone, basically. And nice class for Grahastha, basically. So many points are there. So you told us about the householder duty, like, to control their senses and how to engage in Krishna service. And basically, I agree. Like when you say, like, if the foundation is not strong, then even the newlywed couple or any grahastha, they will not know like what to do. Even if they come into Krishna consciousness, also they may not have a complete idea how to surrender to the Lord. So coming to that, like, is the student life, the brahmachari life has to be strong. Like they have to be taught, like they have to be brought up like in a correct way. And I know ISKCON has the schools and gurukuls and everything, but still, like we see that in the society also, we see even if the person is a brahmachari, even if the person has become initiated also, still we see in the society like they do a lot of mistakes, right? And how can we like improve the the brahmachari ashram? Even the students are not going to the actual brahmachari, like Mayapur there is actually brahmachari ashram, and then you're on the daily basis they are connected to their guru and doing the service. So how can a student living at home, like they basically learn these things and be more proactive in Krishna consciousness? And I hope you understand my point.
Yes, I think so. You're asking how a young man or young woman who's living at home with family can imbibe the principles of Grihastha life and live a dharmic life, even though they're not living in the ashram. Is that correct?
Yes.
The basic principle in this circumstance is that the children should see the example of their parents. Like we can't ask our children to chant japa if we're not doing it ourselves. And the sad fact is that just because husband and wife desire to have children, it's not that the children will automatically be Krishna conscious. They're Krishna conscious according to their own karma. Prabhupada's own children were not very Krishna conscious. Sometimes a Hiranyakashipu appears in the family of devotees, and sometimes a devotee appears in the family of Hiranyakashipu. It's just life. So the principle of raising children, I mean, that's a whole separate class, a whole separate topic. But the basic principle is to encourage the souls that come to our families to the highest extent possible without forcing them. Because if you force your children into Krishna bhakti, they will become resentful and it's like like bamboo. Prabhupada gave the example of bamboo. If you bend it so far, it will break. And when the bamboo is green and young, you can bend it further. But as it gets older, you bend more and it will break. So he quoted Chanakya, who said that when children are young, spoil them, give them love, unconditional love. As they age from, I think he said 6 to 16, then there should be rules, strict rules in the home. And then from 16 on, when psychologically children are young adults, they want to define themselves, and this happens with every individual. It happened with you, it happened with me. We psychologically want to define ourselves as separate from our parents. And we stop calling mom, we start calling her mommy. I mean, vice versa. She's not mommy anymore, she's mom. I'm getting big. I have my own identity. And that's a dangerous time for children because there's many temptations in the world, mostly coming from their own friends. And children may come home someday, and because they're in non-devotee school and regular educational institutions, and they may ask their mom and dad, "Mommy, what's sex? Mommy, what's chicken? They gave me chicken in lunchtime today. It was pretty good." There's many pitfalls for our children. There's very many and social pressure, intense social pressure is exerted upon our children to conform to the Western values of sense gratification is everything, popularity is everything, likes on TikTok is everything. They're under intense pressure. So where is their shelter? Their home life should be shelter, where there's a loving relationship between parents, where mother and father understand what children are going through. They hopefully have an open relationship where their kids can talk to them about it. And this is a whole, as I said, a whole class, but the basic principle is to have strong Krishna conscious home life, worship of the deity, kirtan, prasadam, some short classes, to encourage visits to the temple, association with other devotees. These are the things that make our children strong, that encourage our children in Krishna bhakti. So big
Yes, Prabhu.
topic.
Yes.
There's one other verse I wanted to read. It's a very important verse. Rishabdev is teaching to his son. He said, Yeva manishe kritaso ridarda janesha dehambara vartikeshu griheshu jayatma jarati matsu naprita yukta yavadartas chaloke. Translation: those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They are not interested in mingling with people who are busy maintaining their bodies, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They are not attached to their homes, although they might be householders. They are not attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep the body and soul together. It's very instructive. On one side, Krishna. On the other side, we have a duty. We have a duty to husband, wife, children. We have a duty in society. We have obligations. So we do that as we're obliged, but our consciousness is fixed internally on Krishna. And that is one of the objectives of sadhana, to train our mind to see Krishna in every circumstance, to see Krishna in every breath, in every beat of our heart, in every interaction we have with other people, to see Krishna as the supreme control. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the cause of all causes. He's the supreme controller. How can we not see Krishna? Where isn't Krishna? He's everywhere. So we should learn to fix our consciousness on Krishna and be internally absorbed and go about our responsibilities. And when it says, another thing we should understand, when it says not attachment to wives, children, friends, does that mean you have no feeling for them? That's not what it means. It means it's not this insane bodily attachment. We should see that the souls that become our children, it's our responsibility to give them love and affection, to make them strong people, to encourage them in their life and their achievement of their goals in life. And husband and wife should have affection for each other, not this lovey-dovey, dil til pagal hai type affection between man and woman. But devotee affection, to see this person is a devotee of Krishna. I love Krishna. How can I not love devotees? That is a different kind of love than this bodily love. That I love my wife because she's young and beautiful and quote unquote sexy. That's not love. That's lust. We should love devotees. Why? Because they're part and parcel of Krishna. They are lovable. And the more Krishna conscious they become, the more actually lovable they are. So it's a huge topic. I hope we touched on something that was useful to you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I would like to ask other devotees, like if you have any question and comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Madhav Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada
Dandavat
ki
pranam to you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai
Guru
Gurudev.
Maharaj ki jai. Prabhuji, sometimes, when husband and wife are both devotees, it automatically comes in mind it's a Grahastha family, right? But then
Yes.
sometimes husband and wife are not devotees, and one person is following, the other one is gradually following, but not completely following. So then what label is put on that family?
Many challenges are there, but it's doable. There's no ahaitukeya pratiyata yayatma suprasidati. There is no external impediment for our progress in spiritual life. The only real impediment is our desire not to do it. So let's say, for example, that husband is pious man, but he's not initiated devotee. He's not chanting. He's not inclined to devotional life. He may even like to drink beer with his friends once in a while or have some non-devotional activity. But his wife is a devotee, fixed up, initiated devotee. What to do? Wife's duty is to keep the marriage together. Should she divorce her husband because he's not a devotee? No, she should not. Her obligation is to her family and to her husband. This is Sri Dharma. But she has to be very Krishna conscious, internally absorbed, and try, without being bossy or forceful or demanding, try and increase her husband's appreciation for Krishna bhakti and the value of chanting japa, the value of temple service, the value of worshiping the deity at home. By her example, she should win the heart of her husband. And we saw this in the life, extreme example, in the life of Srila Prabhupada's sister, Pishima. We used to call her Pishima. In Bengali, father's sister is called Pishima. So in Pishima's life, she was married to, he was in the early stages of their life together, he was complete rogue, eating meat, drinking, womanizing. She stuck by him. And in his life, he gradually came to, as I understand it, he was also initiated ultimately. He became a devotee by her example, not by her arguing and making demands and fighting, and no, by her example. So it's a challenging situation. If husband is a devotee, wife is not. Wife is a devotee, husband is not. It's challenging, but nothing is insurmountable by the process of Krishna consciousness. Actually, we should remember, this is a meditation we should reflect on, is that at least 90% of our progress in spiritual life is internal. It's not about your shika, it's not about your tilak, your kantimala, your dhoti, your sari. That won't make you Krishna conscious. The symbols, the external symbols of Krishna consciousness are not the cause of our progress. Our feeling for Krishnaness, our feeling for God. Prabhupada, even we were listening, Sudevi and I were listening to one lecture, which we try to do every day, listening to Prabhupada. And he was explaining that even if one is a meat eater, non-devotee, if he can just appreciate rasoham apsukontaya prabhasi shasishoryo, that this taste in water, the experience of satisfaction that I have when I drink water, that this is Krishna. The light of the sun of the moon, this is Krishna. Punya ganda pritibhyam cha, tejas chasmi vibhava. So the fragrance of the earth, the strength of the strong, his electricity, his light. What isn't Krishna? If we see Krishna, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, how he becomes struck with awe, reading nature's books. Because who is behind nature? Krishna. He said that That's not the verse. Anyway, the Maya Dakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharach. This whole Prakriti works under his direction. If we see the director of Prakriti, the foundation of Prakriti, the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the ability in man, the sound in ether, the fragrance of the earth. This is Krishna consciousness. And we make progress in spiritual life. Prabhu was not so fanatical to say, you have to do it this way. Mangal Arti, 4 rules, 16 rounds, initiation, do Dandavat, visit the temple. These are the activities of more advanced devotees. Is Krishna consciousness only for advanced devotees? It is not. It's for everyone. And everyone begins at a different place according to their previous life's activities and spiritual life. So we can encourage our husband or our wife, if they're not very Krishna conscious, encourage and lovingly encourage, not demandingly, rudely encourage, shouting, argument, criticism, these things. This is tamasic. In a loving way, encourage them in Krishna consciousness, and Krishna is in their heart. Same Krishna that's in your heart is in their heart. And by Krishna's will, they will come around if they're fortunate. We're not the controllers. Is that helpful to you, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. And also, like, I wanted to add one thing, like, sometimes if there's a young couple, it's good that they both are devotees and they get married. But in a situation where we have lived our life like 10 to 12 years, where, we were both not in Krishna consciousness, and then one person came into it, then it's not so much of a trouble, and especially the other spouse is cooperative, because then, first of all, you're used to living with your husband who's been the way he's been. And then, when you come into bhakti, like, as strongly we've heard that you have to do your sadhana, you fly your own plane. So, do it and adjust accordingly, because so, like Lord Chaitanya also mentions that, right, that you practice whatever position you're in, right? So
Yes.
that's always very pleasant to hear to my ears, and it really encouraged me. I just sometimes wonder, like, Lord Chaitanya's teachings, and Srila Prabhupada's teachings are like so. Of course, both of them were married, and so the teaching were connected so much to emphasizing on both Grahastha and Grahamedi life. Like more on Grahastha actually. So that's very encouraging, and because I know a lot of Matajis whose husbands they believe in karma, they believe in many other things, but they will not come into the follow completely. Yeah. But
well, that's their misfortune. They're very lucky to have
yeah.
Vaishnavi wife. Any man who has a Vaishnavi wife is extremely fortunate. Extremely fortunate.
Yeah. And Prabhuji, in your class, you also said one more thing, that the husband wife who are going to get married, they're getting married so they can serve Krishna. That's the purpose of getting married. There's no other purpose of marriage, right? As far
Well,
as
that's the highest purpose. People get
high,
married because of lust, because of need for intimacy, need for emotional attachment. Many reasons are there. Sometimes people get married because parents force them to, or they get married out of many reasons are there. People get married, but the ultimate objective of married life is to be Krishna conscious.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And under the guidance of the gurus, right? Guru Maharaj.
Yes, absolutely.
So in
It's
a way,
not that
like actually Guru Maharaj.
Grihastha.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
that a Grihastha is independent from his guru. And the strictest sense, a Grihastha will request blessings of his guru to do Garbhadan Sanskar. With blessings of guru, may I approach my wife to give her seed, to give her the embryo, Garbhadan. This is the highest principle. But there's different classes of people, different levels of advancement. It's not that everyone has to come to the highest stage. You're there or you're not there. But if you're not there, we don't reject you. Mahaprabhu never rejected anybody. Prabhupada never rejected anybody. Just the whole principle is wherever you are, like you quoted, Stani Sthita Shrutikatam Tanavan Manobir. Wherever you are in your spiritual life, stay there and just hear about Krishna. Be the best devotee you can be. Make progress from whatever standard you've come to this world Some people come with Swalpamapyasya dharma, Swalpapunyabatam Rajan Vishwaso Naivajai. They have no faith. So they have no appreciation for Mahaprasad, for Govinda, holy name. So we come to this world with different levels of Sukriti. Someone who is very highly advanced in their past life and still has karma to do, they may take sannyas. I have godbrothers that are my junior in terms of years, but they're sannyasis with disciples. They come up in Krishna Bhakti so quickly. Why? Because of past Purva Punya, Purva Sukriti. So we all come to this world with different desires, with different backgrounds in devotional life. So we shouldn't be judgmental to other devotees that have less Sukriti and are not as inclined for Krishna Bhakti. Because today's, non-devotee, maybe tomorrow's spiritual master. Who can say? Krishna can bless anyone to any extent, at any time. So we should remain respectful to everyone, keep our nose to the grindstone, worry about our own spiritual life and not be judgmental of other people, and just try and encourage everyone. Try and love everyone. Actually, it comes down to actually having loving feeling for other souls who come to this world. Because we're all on the same boat. We all have the same problem.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful answer. And this topic is always enchanting to our heart because, and one more thing connected to this is like at the age of 50, generally, the men can take vanaprastha, right? And they can leave. And for ladies, it is.
If they're qualified. If they're qualified. We don't
Okay.
enforce anything. Like there's some heavy statements Prabhupada said that one must take sannyas at 50 years old. I'm 72 years old. I will not take sannyas in this lifetime. Because Prabhupada said, if one's wife is cooperative, there's no need for sannyas. We want to be sannyasis in thought and action and words and deed. Sannyas doesn't mean you change the color of your cloth and you carry a stick. That is not sannyas. Anashutya karma, first verse, 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita, read it. Anashutyam karma, phalam karyam karma karochicha, sasannyasi yogicha, nande ragnera chakra. Who is a sannyasi? That person who doesn't take shelter of the fruits of activity, but works as he's obliged. He is in the renounced order of life, not he who performs no work and lights no fire. This is sannyas. Sannyas is a mentality. A mother caring for children can be topmost sannyasis, but not artificially by ashram. It's not like women don't take sannyas where change their clothes, but by activity, by consciousness, by Krishna consciousness. By work, we can be sannyasi. And that is desired. Even one of my godbrothers was offered sannyas by Srila Prabhupada way back in the early days, Shivananda Prabhu. And he wrote back, he says, actually, Prabhupada, I just want to serve you. I want to be a sannyasi indeed. Prabhupada was very pleased, wrote a beautiful letter back to Shivananda Prabhu. Said, yes, you've understood what is sannyas. So by activity, by consciousness, we should be sannyasis, which means Krishna is the enjoyer. Everything is for Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the class and the answers. Very, very uplifting and very mind clearing for me at least. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is Geeta Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a lovely class. Very, very, gave us a lot of different viewpoints to a householder's life. You mentioned, Prabhuji, that a person who has a Vaishnavi spouse is very lucky. So basically, they say, right, that a devotees, so many generations above and below, I don't know, are they also benefit if somebody is a devotee in their family. I mean, can you kindly enlighten me on?
Yes, in Srimad Bhagvatam, there's a story of Prahlad Maharaj and the Shingadev. And the Shingadev offered Prahlad Maharaj any blessing. He says, I don't want anything. I simply want to serve you. But Lord Nishingadev insists, no, you take some blessing, take some blessing. So Prahlad Maharaj says, you liberate my father because he was a great demon. Lord Nishingadev replied that 14 generations both in the past and the future, will be liberated because of your spiritual activities. So as it is a blessing to have a Vaishnavi wife, it is a huge blessing to have Vaishnavi children, because whatever a devotee child does in devotional life becomes the asset of the parents. I'll use my father as an example. He was a very sinful man, actually, from objective point of view. He had many good qualities also, but so many sins. What is the greatest blessing in his life? That somehow or other he produced some kind of a devotee. That goes to his credit. He fed me, he clothed me, he sheltered me, he gave me education, he gave me love. Regardless of his bad qualities, he gave me all those things, and that becomes his devotional service if I become a devotee. So to have a devotee son or daughter is a huge blessing. Anything touched by Krishna is becomes wonderful and auspicious. In our family life, in our renounced life, in our business life, in our health, everything becomes auspicious by Krishna's touch.
So the other way of looking at it is that your father had good karma also to have a son who's a Krishna consciousness. That's
Yes.
So he also did good karma to have you, and you benefited him eventually, like what you're saying. So both ways, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, it's true. I was benefited to have a father that cared for me. His last words to me on the phone, by the time I went to his bedside, he was unconscious. But his last words to me on the phone were, "I love you very deeply." So we had good relationship, a distant relationship, because he could never relate to my spiritual life. I became a devotee when I was 20 years old. So that whole part of my life he could never share in. But I gave him lots of prasadam, and he would come to the temple and take charanamrita. He did many good things. So God bless him.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, all grace to Prabhupada.
Hi,
Such a
Bharata
nice
Prabhu.
class and wonderful section we are reading, and we are having such a wonderful opportunity of hearing from your lotus mouth. I have a question regarding this section. Prahlad Maharaj is preaching about Grihastha life, and Narada Muni also was preaching about Grihastha life later in the, I think, Canto 11. So I have one question regarding the spouse relationship. So if the spouse is demonic, and not only is the spouse not inclined to Krishna consciousness, but is against, repulsive to Krishna consciousness, and is obstructive to Krishna consciousness activity. So that is one question, number one. And the second thing is,
Number one question was what, Prabhu?
So if the question is, if the spouse is demonic, not only is the spouse not following Krishna consciousness, but is obstructing observation of Krishna consciousness in the family. So that is one question. So what should the other spouse do? And number two is, what should in the process of Grihastha life, so should we over endeavor for our material activities in vis-a-vis the Krishna conscious activity, or whatever happens by regular shrama, that is regular labor, should be accepted as ordained, or should continue with that? These two questions.
Okay, the first one, if the husband or wife is openly antagonistic, or as you say, demoniac, there has to be some mutual agreement that wife should say to the husband, or husband should say to the wife, as I am accommodating your needs, you please accommodate my needs. This is a cooperative two-way street. Married life is not a one-way street. It is a two-way street. So as I'm cooperating with you, you please cooperate with me. I want to go to the temple periodically. I want to chant japa peacefully. I'm going to practice vegetarian diet, whether you do or not. I mean, there should be some mutual give and take. If there's no give and take, the relationship is headed for divorce. Sorry to say, we should avoid divorce at any cost. Not at any cost. We should avoid divorce as far as possible. But there should be give and take. Husband should have enough respect for his wife who becomes a devotee to let her practice her own spiritual life. She's has her independent identity also. And if it's that her identity is that of a devotee, he should allow it. And vice versa. If the husband wants to practice, if he wants to spend time with his devotee friends, going to the temple, then wife should not obstruct it. Otherwise, what's the meaning? How is it a marriage? Marriage, I mean, if this is the character of the marriage, it's not a marriage. If there's no give and take, there's no marriage, and they're headed for divorce. Second thing about over endeavor, we should work as hard as possible in Krishna consciousness, but we should understand that the fruit of our action is ultimately dependent on the Lord. And we're driven by, people are driven by different desires. If someone's baniya, banik, mercantile type person, they're interested in profit. So make profit, nothing wrong. They're driven by that. But if it becomes a negative factor in your spiritual life, if you're so busy making money, you have no time to go to the temple or chant your japa, what is the point? You've misunderstood the value of human life. Human life, because money will come and money will go. What is money anyway? Money has no value until you spend it on something. Just accumulating a big bank balance is a gross illusion. I have so much money in the bank. My godbrother, revered godbrother, Srimad Gorgovanda Maharaj used to say, money, 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 brighter than sunshine, sweeter than honey, money, money, money. So this is the mentality of the materialistic person. Money is for Krishna. Lakshmi is for Narayan. Sita is for Ram. So money is fine. We should we want money because we know what to do with it. But just to work like an ass to accumulate a big bank balance at the expense of one's spiritual life is not a good idea. So this is over endeavor. Do what you're meant to do to the best of your ability and depend on Krishna for the result.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So it was a nice answer. Very, very good. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
My last thing, Prabhuji, I mean, it doesn't concern me at all because I'm past 60, but otherwise, I'd heard that when people get married, one thing is that they can, for procreation, they can have sense gratification, and then after that, they should be celibates. Is that right?
That is the ideal scenario. That is Prabhupada taught us the ideal scenario from Shastra. This is not Prabhupada's imposition. This should be understood. This is stated clearly in 7th canto, Bhagvatam, twice, in 11th canto also, that sex is for having babies. But this is the highest standard. And if a devotee can't come to that standard immediately, he should not beat himself up and be overwhelmed with guilt. One should try to come to a higher standard in the course of his devotional life. But the highest standard is there. If there's no high standard, who will ever come to it? If Prabhupada said, just be faithful to each other, do, blah, blah, blah. That's not, or even some devotees are saying, even one of my godbrothers, who's an ISKCON guru, said we should not preach no illicit sex, we should preach no casual sex. That's not what Prabhupada said. Casual sex means sex outside of marriage, outside of a committed relationship. In other words, he's saying, if you're married, enjoy yourself. That's not what Shastra says. It's not what Prabhupada taught. It's not the Shastra principles that Prabhupada taught, principles from the Bhagvatam and from other dharmic shastras. So the point is this, bottom line, whatever one's position in life is, one should try and make progress, be a better devotee. And try and minimize whatever attachment one has to sense gratification. And be better, that's all. Like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And senses aren't controlled immediately. It's a process, Mataji. This is called sadhana.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you today and for your wonderful questions. Hope you all have a wonderful day.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for this nectar class. And I would really, really thank you for you to. Yesterday night only I messaged Prabhuji and he, in the short notice, he agreed to give the class.
Okay.
And so inspiring and guiding for our Grasta life. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Hari
Jai.
bol.
Prabhuji.
Hari
Hari
bol.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hari bol. Hari.
Panchakalpatarushya कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनन्तकोटि वैष्णव जय
Jai.
श्री प्रभुपाद जय
Jai.
जय
Jai.
प्रभु जय।
Jai.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for arranging, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Because of you, we are hearing
No,
also.
Mataji. It's all Krishna's mercy. And everybody who joined, they inspired me to do this service.
Effort also, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji, I liked, actually, I am working, so could not ask so many questions. Sometimes I am able to, so I try to get into. But Prabhuji gave one example of pizza. Like, you don't do like your tongue abhishekam by pizza or whatever you like, so that is abhishekam done for pizza. At the same time, like even we should avoid, like not we devotees, but the non-devotees or those who eat non-vegetarian, they are making their mouth, they don't think that it is so serious. Like Prabhuji told about the vegetarian abhishekam pizza, but when they eat meat or non-vegetarian, then their mouth becomes the place of funeral. It's a kind of कब्रस्तान बोलते हैं उसको, कब्रस्तान की जगह
Yes,
आपके
I've heard
mouth
of that.
पर. If you
Yeah,
want to preach this if we preach, then the front person will be really start thinking, should I make my mouth as a kabristan, so.
Yeah, I heard, Prabhuji, that the stomach becomes a kabristan because ultimately it goes there only.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
body
yes.
is like a kabristan, and then the thinking, everything, it's like amazing. I'm really amazed. I heard this sometime back in like a home program, and how devotees come up with this, or is it in the Shastras about this cremation thing? When we it's a very forceful preaching, and actually, if you tell someone who is enslaved to the tongue, will get offended. I feel we have to be watchful, how to say, when to say a statement like this, because what to do, like, first you have to keep compassion for people if they are, addicted to so-called eating like that. So
that's right, Mataji.
yeah, and also and Mataji and Prabhuji, like I just got my citizenship yesterday.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Mataji, you have to guide us now.
No, Prabhuji, what guide? It's all again. It's all
Haribol.
Mataji, did you do it? Congratulations, Mataji. Did you do it with like yourself or through some lawyer?
No, we did ourselves only. We did ourselves. There's a form we filled in, and we submitted it, and then uske baad we had to take all the paperwork there, and
the recording is still going on, or we have to stop.
Okay, we'll talk offline, Mataji. No problem.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
call you, Mataji. I'll call you.
Yeah.